Forget everything you know about bards, sorcerers, wizards and warlocks, clerics, druids, rangers, and paladins. In this adventure, there's only one class that uses magic: magic users. And you are Morgan, a young magic user who has just been called before the venerable Council of Nine. You've learned that your great-uncle Zed the Zealous is being released from prison. Many years ago, he was imprisoned for using forbidden magic. But, along with your pseudodragon, you've agreed to be the one to meet him. Entrusted with his magic ring of wishes, you are on your way. Young magic users, what could possibly go wrong? It's time now to return to our adventure. It's time now to return to Dragon of Doom. Early next morning, while the dew is still on the grass, you and Hinoki pass out of the castle and head north towards Bald Mountain. The trip passes without incident until the morning of the third day. We should have spotted the mountain by now, insists Hinoki. I'm going to fly to the top of that knoll and take a look around. You stay here. You're as bad as mother, you groan. I'm supposed to be in charge. I'll go too. And ignoring Hinoki's protests, you climb to the top of the rocky knoll. That must be it, you say, pointing towards a black peak that thrusts up into the cold mountain mists. It sure looks unfriendly. I bet Uncle Zed will be happy to see me. Be careful on the way down, says Hinoki. Oh, stop fussing. I'll be just You feel a loose rock shift under your foot and begin to slide. Desperately, you try to regain your balance. Too late. You see the large black rock rising up before you, and then there's a sickening thud, and the world goes black. Morgan, wake up, cries a tiny voice inside your head, and you see a tiny pinpoint of light. Vaguely, you watch the dot, and slowly it grows larger and larger, and the voice grows louder. Morgan, wake up! We'll be late for the time barrier, insists the voice. Lazily, you listen to the words and wonder at their meaning. Moving seems too difficult? Maybe you'll go back to sleep. If you don't wake up, I shall leave at once and go on by myself, and don't blame me if the dire wolves eat you. Eaten by dire wolves? That doesn't sound like much fun. Slowly, you open one eye to see Hinoki peering into your face. I thought you'd finally gotten yourself killed this time, says the pseudo-dragon. Come on. Either you get up or I'm leaving. We've lost too much time thanks to your clever way of descending a cliff. I must have knocked myself out, you say, rubbing a painful lump on the top of your head. How long was I out? All day and all night, says Hinoki, rubbing his muzzle on your cheek. I was scared to death you would die. That long? Come on, we've got to get going. Maybe if I walk all night I can get there before the time barrier lifts. But even though you walk as fast as you can, you know you are too late before you even reach the mountain. Look, Hinoki, smoke, you say, pointing to the plume of black smoke that stains the northern sky. All that day the signs grow worse. Dead birds with greasy black smoke coating their plumage litter the ground. Then you begin to see other small creatures, mice, snakes, rabbits, all with scorch marks on their bodies. I don't like the look of this, you mutter. Hinoki, are you receiving any mind thoughts? Fright, pain, death, blackness, says your pseudo-dragon nervously. If we link our minds, we'll be twice as powerful. Let's try and see what we can see. Maybe Uncle Zed is hurt. Sitting down on a large rock, you perch Hinoki on your knees and touch his head to your own. Slowly, you calm your heartbeat and breathe in and out with the pseudo-dragon as you look into the gold depths of his eyes. Gradually, a calming warmth steals over you, and you enter a trance-like state. Your black pupils open wider and wider until you see a small huddled figure lying on the ground. As you watch, the figure stirs, and pain washes over you. You flinch from the pain, and the picture fades. Did you see him? It's Uncle Zed, and he's hurt. We've got to get there as soon as possible. Something terrible has happened, you say in a rush. For the remainder of the day and the following night, you walk with fear as your constant companion. Oh, if something has happened to Uncle Zed, the council will never forgive me, you say. Hinoki is strangely silent. On the morning of the fifth day, you stand high on the mountain pass and look upon destruction that can scarcely be imagined. Bald Mountain rises straight up before you, blasted barren and black, as though struck by all the lightning in the world. Charred remains of forest cast smoke into the mists. Rocks and boulders lie smashed, as though shattered by a giant hammer. In places, the very ground is ripped asunder, with molten rock bubbling and fuming from wide cracks. "Maybe he's still alive," you whisper as you hurry towards the desolate scene. Following a narrow path, you wind your way up towards an opening in the mountain. Pushing your way past the fallen rubble, you enter a deep cave and rush to the side of a small crumpled figure lying broken on the cold stone floor. "Uncle Zed!" you cry as you gently turn the figure's face towards you.
"No," whispers the man, "not Zed. Psychus. I was Zed's servant."
"Oh, what's happened? Is Zed all right? Is he still alive?" you ask urgently.
"Alive?" "Yes, he's alive,"
gasps the man as he gives a choking laugh. "Oh, what's funny? Where's my uncle? I've come to bring him home. There's going to be a celebration and speeches, and he'll be returned to his place of honor. What's happened to him? Tell me." A terrible grimace crosses the man's face, and his body shakes with a silent laughter.
"So, they've forgiven him, have they? Well, I'm afraid it's too late for that. Did they really think he would take his banishment lightly? Not Zed. He used all of his magic skills to call upon the powers of darkness to aid him in revenge."
"Revenge? What revenge? He's forgiven."
"Oh, you may have forgiven him, but he has not forgiven those who banished him. They will pay dearly for what they did to him," croaks Psychus.
"What does he plan?" Hinoki asks quietly.
"Shen,"
gasps Psychus. "Shen? Dragon of Doom? That cannot be possible," you say. "Shen is only a myth invented to frighten children."
"Shen will frighten more than children before it's done," whispers Psychus. "It's more than a story. It's real, and it's coming. Zed discovered the spell to call Shen forth. He promised I would be saved. I would have stood at his left hand. I would have been rewarded. But the spell was too strong. I wish I could live to see it. The end of the world."
Suddenly, Psychus is seized by a fit of coughing, and as he clutches at your arm, he whispers,
"You'll never catch him in time. You're too late. He's gone north to meet the dragon,"
and dies. Gently you lower the dead man to the ground. He must have been delirious. Uncle Zed would never do anything awful like that. What's all this nonsense about the Dragon of Doom? You ask as you get to your feet. No nonsense, I'm afraid. Shen is the Dragon of Doom. Wherever and whenever he appears, people die. Not just a few, you understand, but lots and lots of people. Whole nations. And not just people. Animals, birds, reptiles, anything that walks, breathes, swims, or flies. If it's alive, it dies. I thought that was just a story. The council would like to keep it that way. Just a story. A passing dragon told me about Shen once. Shen used to ravage the earth every chance that came along. But finally, the council united all the kingdoms and killed all the evil wizards who knew the spell. Then they burned every copy of the spell they could find. They thought it was gone forever and Shen would sleep for eternity. It appears that your uncle has rediscovered the spell and called Shen back as his instrument of revenge. I still think it's all ridiculous, but I suppose we better do something. Like what? Asks Hinoki. Before deciding, though, it says here, turn to page 25. Curious. What will we find on page 25? Tune in tomorrow to find out, and return then when you will pick our next path forward. I'll see you then.